What's good, y'all? Welcome to my review for the Royal Rumble. First off, apologies if the video's getting out so late. Been busy. I've literally lived my whole week. I have literally been playing catch up this whole weekend. You know, Saturday I went to see Broly, and then as soon as I got home, I went to recorded my review, then watched Takeover, and then SAO got delayed, and my tonight reviews, everything got delayed because of this weekend. The Royal Rumble was just, dear God. I will overall say the Royal Rumble was a good show, but man, was it too long. Man, it was too long. Now, granted, I live on the West Coast, so it wasn't as draining as someone that lives on the East, because, it, here on the West Coast, it airs at 4 o'clock, and it ended at, I think it was 8, 7 or 8. It ended here, so, and it was pretty late, but, yeah. So, let's get into it. Now, I'm not going to talk about the pre-show, because I honestly didn't watch the pre-show. There was a match between, I think it was, Akam with, one of the members of the Revival going against, Rude and Gable. Yeah, whatever. Had the Cruiserweight match, had the United States Championship match, which, Shinsuke ended up winning that match. Definitely the AEW effect is definitely affecting WWE, so let's see if it's probably not going to go anywhere, but no, whatever. So let's get into the main show. So we started off with the SmackDown Women's Championship match between Asuka and Becky. Overall, love this match. This was a great opening to the show. There was actually a lot of cool stuff. Like the intensity was there. These women were getting put all around. Now I think they probably went a little overboard, because there was this one spot. I think it was around the midpoint match. So because when they're both on the apron, and I forget what the move is called. I think it's pretty much similar. I think it was similar to Nikki Cross's finisher, if I remember correctly, from JD's we mentioned in his review, where she literally, Asuka puts her up and about to do a suplex, but she literally just does, I think it was a rotating she literally just puts Becky up for a suplex, but then just jumps off the apron as they're rotating, and it looked painful. It looked painful. If Becky probably didn't turn how she did, she probably would have dislocated her shoulder. So I would say that was unnecessary, because the intensity was already there. So overall, I thought that was just unnecessary damage, because Becky's gonna be in the Royal Rumble later, so that was a little unnecessary, but it did look cool. I did like that, and I did like they went the extra mile. And there was other cool spots. I did like this one part where Becky and where Asuka's about to hit Becky with the hip attack when Becky's on the ropes, but Becky ends up dodging it. And Asuka's just in the ropes, and then Becky, I think Becky, I forget if she actually did some moves on her, but she turned around, then Asuka puts her in the Asuka lock while she's on the rope, so that was pretty cool. But without doubt, my favorite part of the match was definitely ending where Asuka go after a super Vexploder. Asuka puts Becky in I'm literally blanking on Becky's finisher's name. It's literally slipped my mind right now. I feel so bad because I love Becky. How am I forgetting her name? But anyway, so she puts her in the armbar, not the armbar, the disarmer. Now it's the disarmer, but it's not as deep as Asuka wants. So then Becky ends up countering that into the Asuka lock. But then so they were kind of countering move after a while. Asuka manages to put Becky in the Asuka lock. But actually, this was at the end of the match. Asuka ends up bridging herself while still having the Asuka lock hold on, bridging herself kind of like how Charlotte when she does the figure 8, and Becky ends up tapping out. Now, I definitely agree with JD on the fact that Becky should not have tapped. She should have passed out, as that way, because now it kind of makes it look like I cry when she does go in the Royal Rumble, because she did tap out. She didn't just pass out. So I definitely agree that she should have just passed out and not tapped out. But I really dug the vision. I hope Asuka uses that more does the Asuka lock with that bridge. I hope she does it more. Maybe we'll see her when she at WrestleMania. She'll probably do that again, because that looked really cool, and I hope to see it more. After that, we had the SmackDown tag titles between The Bar and Miz and Shane. I won't lie, I didn't give two flying fucks about this match, and I also wasn't paying too much attention to it. I was mostly on my phone for most of this match, although I would. But what I saw, the match was meh. It was meh. But I'll give this: we saw Shane doing a shooting star press which, if I remember correctly, that move is banned, right? And why is Shane doing this? This man's in like his 50s, and here he is doing a shooting star press. I mean, he did it really well. He didn't botch like Brock Lesnar did at, what was it, WrestleMania 19? I think it was, when Brock did, but he ended up botching and damn near broke his neck. Speaking of WrestleMania 19, the ramp or aisleway they had for the Rumble, that thing was really long for this, and even kind of curved around it like you were going across the base. Now, I get that we were in a baseball field or a baseball stadium, so they had a lot of room, but I thought that ramp was a little too long. I'm like, Christ, could y'all make this ramp any longer? So there was that. So overall, the match was fine. Shane and Miz win the tag titles. Whatever, field goal moment, whatever. I personally just did not give two flying fucks about this match. It was meh. So, next up, we had Ronda Rousey versus Sasha Banks. This was probably, I would argue this was match of the night for me. Just because, number one, not Asuka. Sasha looked amazing. Ronda looked amazing. This was definitely, I would definitely say this was probably Sasha's best match in a while, and I would definitely say this is probably Ronda's best match. I'm still kind of conflicted which one I like more, this or her match with Charlotte at Survivor Series, but I would say it's a toss-up between these two. Anyway, this match is awesome. I loved how we're starting to get, throughout the match, we kind of saw a bit of that NXT, Sasha Banks, she got made a return where there was this one she actually does, when she does the bank statement, she actually took off the little thing that's around that's around Sasha's arm and used it to help her out when she was doing the bank statement. So I thought that was cool. So they ended the match up with, I believe it was I think Ron did a Piper's Pit, and that's how she got the pin, because she didn't use the arm bar, or at least, well, she did, but Sasha didn't end up tapping out. So overall, loved the match. I did like how Sasha was working on her arm, was working on her arms, for the bank statement, and wasn't she working on the arm? But I'm literally trying to. I might be misremembering something because it's been a couple days since the Rumble. But overall, loved the match, and this was definitely Sasha's best match. She looked great. She ended up She did lose, which not surprising because we know she's gonna lose to Becky. Jesus. But I did like at the end of the match. There was a show of respect from Ronda and Sasha and Becky, and I don't know why I keep saying Becky. Sasha ends up going out of the ring. She's going through a bunch of moves. Then she comes back into the ring, and now we all thought that was going to be a heel turn. There wasn't, but she gets back in the ring and holds up four fingers in front of Ronda, planting the seeds for the 4 Horsewomen versus 4 Horsewomen that we're probably getting Survivor Series probably next year, because Shayna Baszler's probably ready to go, but we still got Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke, and they're still not really they're still pretty much in the still work. They haven't really been featured that much on NXT, so it's probably be a while until we see those, so we actually get this match. But I do like that WWE is planting the seeds for that match, so I thought that was really cool what Sasha did there. So planting the seeds, which I really dug. Thought that was really cool. Next up, we had the Women's Royal Rumble. Becky ended up winning. But they made us sweat a little bit, and you'll see this in my reactions, because I did a bunch of reactions, and I'll try to get those out quickly, but it might take some time, because I still got to do TakeOver first, but I'll try to work on those over the weekend, or on Friday, when I get the time to. Anyway, so they made us sweat a little bit with Becky, because she didn't end up coming out until the end. So they made us sweat. Now at number 1 we had Lacey Evans, and at number 2 we had Natty, or maybe it might have been flip flop, but those two were they were the ones that were the first to start off. And I won't lie, Lacey Evans is starting to grow on me a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm completely a Lacey Evans fan, but she has started to slowly grow on me after I saw her at the Rumble. I did like how they didn't rely on Legends. I would definitely say this Rumble was better than last year's. Mostly due to the fact that I like they actually, instead of WWE going into the Legends cookie jar and pulling out Lita, Trish, and all those other girls, they went on and used NXT talent and showed them off, which I like that they actually did. We had Kairi Sane, Io Shirai, Rhea Ripley, and we had Candice LeRae and this other girl. I think her name. There was also Xia Li, which is actually the first time I saw Xia Li because I didn't watch the Mae Young Class, and I gotta say I love Xia's entrance music. I can't wait to see her actually on NXT because she hasn't appeared on NXT yet, as far as I know. But I know she's been doing like some house shows here and there. But I can't wait to actually see her on NXT TV. So Xia looks great. But definitely, the highlight of the NXT talent was definitely the Casey. This was the first time I saw Casey because, like I said, I didn't watch the Mae Young Classic. Now, because she actually did some really cool stuff with they had like the mock eliminations, which JD in his review just said like he hates those. It makes a mockery. It's of the Rumble. I personally don't think so. I actually find these really cool and entertaining. I always find them really creative how they did. Like Naomi, she did this one where I think she was. Got off the top rope, or was over the top rope, and I think she was sent flying out to the outside, but her feet didn't land on the floor, and I think she ended up landing on the, or at least catching herself on the barricades, I think, and then she went up to the barricades, and then went from there, and then kind of like bounced her way up to the steps on the other side of the ring, jumped up from there, and then was about to go inside, but then since Mandy Rose was already eliminated, Mandy Rose ends up just pulling her down. She ends up getting eliminated that way. So I kind of thought that was kind of pointless. Like, if you're gonna do that, but then just have her get eliminated by Mandy Rose literally as soon as she gets to about to get inside, what was really the point of that? But I still thought it was cool. The one I did like was KC, where since her back hit the floor but her legs didn't, she ends up going into a handstand, using the barricade to help her out, and then does a handstand, gets up. But she doesn't just do a handstand, just go through. No. She goes all the way. She goes over to one of the poles, with the LED boards and whatever. Goes up there, wraps her legs around, then pushes herself upwards and then goes back inside. I'm not a fan of Casey. Like, this is the first time seeing her, and I'm already sold on her just because of that. Because that was definitely probably my favorite one of the mock and eliminate. That one was probably my favorite because it was so creative. How flexible and strong Casey is. Going up, like wrapping her legs around, then pulling herself up, and then getting back in the ring. That was cool. Rhea Ripley looked pretty good. We had Kairi Sane. She also did her insane elbow. Beautiful. It's probably the best one I've seen her do. And so. But one thing I actually I thought was pretty cool was actually when Ruby Riott shows up, her other two of the other two members of the Riott Squad, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan show up, who are already eliminated at this point. So I don't know why the refs. Like, I agree with JD, the refs were retarded here. Like, they're not telling hey, get out of here. You guys are eliminated. Get in the back. They didn't stop them. They just let her do it. So. The Riott Squad members would take pretty girls take them outside the bomb room, beat them up a bit, throw them back in there so Ruby could eliminate them. And so they did that with Kairi, and when I was watching the match, which you'll see this in my reaction, I was like, where's Io? Where's Io? Mostly Joe, because I didn't think Io was going to show. But literally the next person that was coming was Io. So she comes in there and saves the day, does a little bit of a 619. So that was cool. I like that they showed up, and I like this one part where we had this face-off between Zelina Vega, who actually came out as Vega from Street Fighter. I found that out through JD's review, and we also have Candice LeRae. They have a little bit of faith because you guys remember Candice LeRae is the wife of Johnny Gargano, and Zelina Vega is the business manager or whatever of Andrade Cien Almas. And so they had this nice little feels, like a nice little take on, Andrade, Cien Almas, and versus Johnny Gargano, which they had their match at TakeOver Phoenix. So, not Phoenix, TakeOver Philly. And so I like they had the little take with the woman. So I thought that was pretty cool. They had their little face off. Who else? One thing now I know some people didn't really like this, but I love this. So later on in the match, Zelina goes underneath the ring and just hides there, waiting. And so. But then, while she's waiting, she peeks her hat out a couple times. We then see that Hornswoggle is underneath the ring with her, and then once Zelina realizes that he's with her, she runs out, gets back in the ring, ends up eliminating. I think she ends up eliminating herself, or she ends up getting eliminated by. I think it might have been Rhea Ripley. It might have been, but she ends up getting eliminated, and then Hornswoggle is still chasing her, and they're running all the way back. I thought that was funny. I thought that was pretty funny. Also, one thing I gotta say about the Iconics, so not Peyton Royce, Billie Kay shows up first, but she doesn't get in the ring. She's like, I'm going to wait for Payne. I'm going to wait for Payne. And Corey's like, oh, that's a great idea. Yes. But I like when Nikki Cross showed up. She just pushes Billy into the barricade when she gets in there. You're like, I love Nikki Cross, man. But one thing I have to tell you guys. So a while ago, like a few weeks back, when when on Raw they announced the women's tag titles, right? And they asked you who do you want to be the first pair to hold them, and I went down there and went on Twitter, and I saw people who were logically saying it should be it should be Sasha and Bayley, but of course there were those goons, those imbeciles. They're like, oh, I think it should be the Iconics. Oh, I think it should be the Bella Twins. And of course, I responded to a couple of these, usually with just gifs of either Homer Simpson, bleach, soaking his eyes in bleach, or a couple other gifs. So one of them had the Iconics. I replied that saying, please tell me you're joking with this gif of this dude about to vomit. The same person then replies to me saying, yet you want Sasha and Bayley to win. Laughing face, with a gif of the Iconics saying, they're all garbage. I then absolutely destroyed this person with nothing but logic, and I say, I'm sorry, name one good match the Iconics have had. They can't wrestle, and their voices make me want to drive scissors into my eardrums. But let's forget about Sasha and Bayley's 5-star classic at TakeOver Brooklyn. No response. As a wise man once said, stupidity is contagious. Because another goon replied to my first tweet about, please tell me you're joking, was just a gift of the Iconics saying blah, 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 blah. Absolutely garbage. Those bits. They can't wrestle. They can't wrestle, so, yeah. So the Iconics end up getting in there, they get eliminated, whatever. And then we get to I think it was number 28 or 29. Which is Lana's spot. Now, during the pre-show, she ended up getting injured because she landed wrong when Rusev ran into her when she was on the apron. So she's slowly making her way to the ring at a snail's pace, and because the ramp is so long, or the aisleway is so long, it was almost, I couldn't help but start laughing when I see her just slowly making her way, and then we cut back, and then we get back to the ring, then cut back to Lana, she's still slowly walking over, but doctors, are checking on her to see if she can still go. Nia Jax ends up showing up, and being the bully that she pushes Lana on the ground and runs and throws her into the barricades and makes her way to the ring. So then Carmella shows up at number 30, and there's still no Becky Lynch, and we're like, where's Becky? So later on, Becky shows up, and she's arguing with Finlay, put me in, Lana can't go, put me in. So after a bit of debating, Finlay says, whatever, go in there. So she gets in there, we get the match that we want between Becky and Nia Jax. It was kind of uneventful and a little lackluster than we all wanted it to be. But Nia tries to break her face again, but she ends up missing and everything. So she ends up getting eliminated, and then Charlotte's there as well as everyone else. So everyone gets eliminated. I think Becky ended up getting pushed underneath the bottom roll, or she went outside the bottom roll, but she wasn't eliminated. She's about to go up the steel steps. But right when she does, Nia Jax pushes her off of them, and she ends up having to sell a knee injury. Now I agree with JD on this, where this was completely unnecessary. It did not need to be there, and they went with it and it just kind of just dilute the whole thing. I feel like that's they should just have the moment. They didn't need this whole knee injury just to make it more like an underdog story or whatever. I thought that was a little unnecessary. Was the whole knee injury, but Becky ends up winning, and everyone's celebrating. Yes, she's celebrating. She ends up winning. So after that, we get the WWE Championship match between Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles. The match was overall pretty good. Match was great. In all honesty, I wouldn't say it was good as their match at TLC, but it was still a damn good match between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. Let's go straight to the ending. So Eric Rowan shows up, and he just kind of appears at ringside. But then when the ref is down, Eric Rowan comes into the ring, grabs AJ Styles with a face, and just like pretty much choke slams him, but he's grabbing his face instead and slams him down to the ground and leaves. And Daniel Bryan ends up getting the win. Now SmackDown's going to be on a little bit later today, so we'll find out maybe what's going on. But I'm curious where this is going. Could it be that they might be doing a new version of the Wyatt family, where D. Bryan might be the leader and the Wyatt family the last? Remember, back in 2013, Daniel Bryan was a member of the Wyatt family. They had that whole thing where, steel cage match, Daniel Bryan betrayed the Wyatt family and went back to the Daniel Bryan we all know and love. So I think we might begin like some reunification of the Wyatt family with Eric Rowan and Luke and I forget who the other guys, but they probably might be bringing out the Wyatt with the Wyatt family, or there's a version of it with Daniel Bryan be the leader. So I'm definitely curious where they're going to go with that. So then we have Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. Finn Balor was the man, not the demon, because Finn Balor said that he's doesn't want to rely too much on the demon, even though the last time you used it, man, was at SummerSlam. So whatever, but the match was pretty good. I wish it was a little bit longer. The match was great. I wish it was just a little bit longer though. Brock Lesnar made Finn Balor look like $1 million. And also I gotta say, Brock Lesnar, he is great at selling. The man sold this stomach injury he had when Finn Balor runs him into the barricade or to the announce table. He sold that perfectly, and that was great. And so we end the match with Brock Lesnar putting him into the I forget what the submission is called. It's it was like the arm submission that Brock Lesnar used to use all the time back when he first came back to WWE, but he hasn't really used it. The Cabora law. We saw the return of that, which is cool because we haven't seen that in years. So I like that we did see the return of the Cabora lock. So Finn Balor ends up tapping out, and Brock Lesnar retains, but he ends up then later on just beating up Finn Balor for whatever reason. We'll see where that goes on. And then after that, we had the Men's Royal Rumble. They did the same thing what they did with the Women's Royal Rumble, where they did bring in NXT talent. We had Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, as well as Aleister Black. No Velveteen Dream, no Ricochet, just those three, which they looked great. Each of them got elimination or two. And so it was nice to see those guys, actually make their debut in the main roster. That was awesome seeing Johnny Gargano at the Rumble. So then Seth Rollins is getting not eliminated, but he has to get thrown to in the announce table, so he's kind of just laying there for a while. Then, actually, JD said on Twitter that he had a really bad feeling was going to happen because he said this in his review that actually WrestleVille said there was going to be something surprising was going to happen, and he was like, "Oh great, Roman's going to come back at number 30 and win the match." It actually wasn't. So as we know, R-Truth is going to be at number 30. But when he does his little stick, Nia Jax shows up, pushes him out of the way, and then takes his spot in the Rumble. Yes, Nia Jax is now in the Men's Royal Rumble. And she had a better performance than both Johnny Gargano, Pete Dunne, and Aleister Black. Let that sink in. And also, one thing I loved about Pete Dunne is when he was doing the joint manipulation thing with Aleister Black. It looked like, I guess, Pete Dunne ended up dislocating one of Aleister Black's fingers because later on in the match, Aleister just put it right back into place like a badass. It was really fucking cool when that happened. And so we get this whole thing where she's taking out a couple guys. I think she just got Mustafa Ali, or she might have got another guy. I'm not completely sure. I'm misremembering a little bit. But anyway, so then we get this thing where Randy tries to hit her with an RKO. She ends up countering. Ray puts her in position for the 619, does the 619. Randy then RKOs her, and everyone starts chanting, "Holy shit, holy shit!" Like this, I feel like this was Nia's actual punishment because what happened to the Women's Royal Rumble was lackluster with Becca. So I think this was what we actually got, and I actually liked it with Randy doing an RKO on her. I thought that was pretty cool. She ends up getting eliminated, and then after some time, we got the final ones. Dolph ends up showing up as well, as I think it was 28 he was. Ends up eliminating Drew McIntyre. And then, so we end the match with, I think it was Braun. I'm pretty sure it was Braun and Seth Rollins. And Seth ends up winning the Royal Rumble, just like I predicted, and that's how the show ends. So overall, I thought the Royal Rumble was great this year. I think it was pretty good. I thought it was great. I would definitely say the Rumbles were a little too long. The Men's Royal Rumble was a little too long. The show itself was honestly too long, but it was overall a thumbs up show. I would overall give it an 8 out of 10, guys. So, yeah. See where it happens on SmackDown Live, guys. So, hope you all enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram, Tori Fluggett. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.